I went into this movie with no expectations. Well, I expected it to be a little weird. My main motivation was because Robert Pattinson is in it, of course. And to its credit, the trailer was very good. But the movie itself, I give it a 6 out of 10. Robert Pattinson plays Mikey Barnes. Deep in debt and looking for a way to escape his loan sharks, he decides to board an intergalactic spaceship to discover and colonize a distant ice planet. He signs up for a job where he unknowingly pretty much donates his body to science. His role on the ship is an expendable, the person who does the most dangerous job, and when he is killed, a clone of him will be reprinted to be killed again. But what happens when a new Mikey is printed before the previous one dies?
Why aren't you dead? Multiples.
I love the originality of the plot, the set design and costuming of this film. I was pretty into it from the start, but after about the first 15 minutes, the movie had this weird way of losing itself. Wikipedia describes Mikey 17 as a science fiction black comedy. It tackles serious issues like mortality, colonialism, and class. One of the best ways to reach people is through comedy. Most comedians even tackle serious topics in their stand-up routines. The truth can be a bitter pill to swallow, but comedy makes it tolerable. By discussing serious topics with a joke, it makes the truth easier to confront. Poet and playwright Christopher Fry once said, "Comedy is an escape, not from the truth, but from despair, a narrow escape into faith." Mikey 17 was too unserious for its own good. You have these great actors, a decent plot, but the execution was a miss. Robert Pattinson was excellent, and I have a bad habit of forgetting how great of an actor he is. Miss Toni Collette, she did her thing. You know an actor is doing a great job when you can't stand their character. And Mark Ruffalo plays Kenneth Marshall, an egomaniacal failed politician with sinister designs for Niflheim. His character is like an evangelist who uses science exploration and discovery as a cover to colonize the planet of Niflheim with, I quote, "the purest people." His mannerisms in this movie lead me to believe that he was inspired by Donald Trump or Nixon. When I saw this movie in theaters, I definitely saw it as a dark comedy with little subplots on politics and classism. After Googling the movie, I learned that the director's intent was for it to be a social commentary on the human condition. The poor are subjected to cold metal dormitories while the rich live in a plush golden residence. The poor eat gray, bland, rationed meals while the rich eat and drink to their heart's content. Even Mikey, who is broke and on the run, is able to get on this ship, which is in high demand because he chooses a position only someone as desperate or as poor would choose. He's basically a lab rat subjected to high amounts of radiation, alien viruses, and GMO meat that he is offered when the marshals invite him to dine with them. Then the marshals even go as far as reminding those on board the spaceship to abstain from sex due to the number of calories the activity requires. Because God forbid they get more food than what is already given to them. I appreciate the attempt to combat these topics as the director Bong Joon-ho has tackled in the past and with his previous films like Parasite. But the way he uses comedy in this film diminishes the importance of the message he is trying to convey. If he's trying to convey this message at all, I'm not really sure because, like I said, the movie comes across as so unserious, you question what exactly the plot is. For example, the absolute worst scene in this movie is when a firing squad kills one of the native animals from the planet they land on. It was incredibly disturbing and one of the worst scenes I've seen in a film ever. Not to be dramatic, but it was pretty bad. I get it's supposed to be a plot point, and it's basically just a CGI monster, but it was a baby, and it was lost and crying for its mother when it was literally shot to bits. I'm not into that. I don't care how dark the comedy is supposed to be. Bong Joon-ho shows the reality of cruelty and a disregard for life, for sure, but the gravity of the situation isn't met with the right amount of disgust and outrage. It's almost just used like a punchline to a joke. Like, you see, folks, these are the lengths of human hate and cruelty. Observe. This movie is like baking a cake without having the recipe. You go to your cabinet and you see that you have all the ingredients required to bake a cake. In this case, a film. An interesting original idea, great actors, and a beautifully designed set and costuming to complement the story. However, when you pull everything out of the cabinet and decide to bake the cake, you realize you don't have a recipe. No instructions on how much to use or even how long it needs to be in the oven. But you decide to put your ingredients together anyway and bake the cake. Let's see how it turns out, right? This movie is like that. All the right ingredients, but no clear instruction on how to turn all you have into a delicious cake. For what it's worth, I'll change the score to a 6.5 because Mikey 17 had a lot of potential. It was so good until it wasn't. Special shout out to the love interest being a black girl.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
A dark-skinned, gap-toothed black woman with braids. As a Twilight girly who never chose between Jacob or Edward because there is always enough love to go around, I completely understand Naomi Ackie's character, Nasha. Mikey 17 worshipped the ground that Nasha walked on, and Mikey 18. I love to see it.
No chef's kiss.
No chef's kiss. No kiss.
I got your chef's kiss.